Raiden lived with her grandmother in an old, abandoned house at the edge of the village, where whispers of past horrors still lingered. Despite the peeling wallpaper and creaky floorboards, it was the only home Raiden knew. Her grandmother, a stern and forbidding woman, imposed strict rules. Never leave the windows open at night, never go outside after dark, and never, under any circumstances, enter the cellar. But it wasn't her grandmother's harshness that kept Raiden awake at night, trembling beneath her thin blanket. It was the things that happened when the sun dipped below the horizon and darkness took hold of the house. As the clock struck midnight, the air felt colder, the shadows more sinister. Raiden would lie still, listening. The creak of floorboards, the faint sound of whispers in the hallway, and the distinct, sharp noise of nails dragging along the walls. She told herself it was just the house settling, or the wind playing tricks, but deep down, she knew better. One night, emboldened by a fleeting burst of bravery, Raiden tiptoed out of her room. The flickering lights cast unsettling shapes on the walls. She heard a soft crying from the room down the hall, her grandmother's room. She approached, heart hammering in her chest. Pushing the door ajar, she saw her grandmother, standing dead still, staring at the mirror. "Grandma?" Raiden's small voice barely rose above a whisper, and yet, her grandmother didn't flinch. Raiden stepped closer until she saw the reflection. Her grandmother's face was contorted in silent agony, and behind her, a ghostly figure with hollow eyes and a gaping mouth. Raiden's scream pierced the silence, waking her grandmother from the terrifying trance. They fled the room, but the horror followed. Their nights were no longer their own. They belonged to the shadows and the specters that haunted the house. The cellar, long forbidden, seemed to call them as the disturbances grew more aggressive. Driven by a dire need for answers, and despite her grandmother's vehement objections, Raiden descended into the darkness. She stumbled upon old, forgotten remnants of the house's past, chalk drawings, decrepit dolls, and echoes of a time when the house overflowed with life. But life had long since turned to death here. The final piece of the puzzle lay at the far end of the cellar, a dusty, old chest. Inside were letters and photographs detailing a family tragedy that had cursed the house with restless spirits. As Raiden read through the letters, the chills crawled up her spine. It was a young girl's tale of sorrow and betrayal, ended brutally. That girl's spirit now lingered, seeking justice or perhaps revenge. The realization dawned on Raiden, and she whispered a pledge to set things right. The hauntings would continue, growing stronger each night until the wrongs of the past were righted. Raiden and her grandmother had one choice: confront the horrors head-on or be swallowed by them entirely. And so, as the final candle flickered and darkness enveloped them once more, they steeled themselves for the trials to come. The old, abandoned house was no longer just a home. It was a battlefield drenched in shadows. And in the end, only the brave or the foolish dared to face the spectral horrors that sought solace in their suffering.